All right, let's get down to business. Not really business. If it's business or pleasure, tonight's pleasure. All right, that's what she said. No, seriously, Pappy 15 tonight. I mean, this is going to be crazy. This is very exciting. You can see I busted out the kind of classic here. You know, the classic low proof weeded Weller product. And instead of starting with Eagle Rare tonight, I'm gonna get this in my glass to kind of prep my palate for what's to come. Because I guess tonight's largely weeded. You know, we do have the Hardin's Creek Jacob's Well to get into, but which I think is going to be a great bourbon. But some other more important things. I also have a little flask here, the remainder of Weller 12 current day bottling in this shape from 2019 that I can use in this comparison. So, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. We've got another Thursday night live stream now. And for those of you who are in the Patreon who kind of saw the pop-up live stream I did the other night really late, like 12:30, I was doing the giveaway drawing. It was on the 31st. I guess at that point it was February 1st. And I did kind of an impromptu live stream where I actually already tasted these samples. But we're gonna do it publicly now. So this is not officially my first taste of Pappy 15 of William Larue Weller 2022. Pappy 15 is also from 2022, and the Jacob's Well. It's my second taste. All right, but the first taste, it was really late. I didn't even plan on doing a full scale live stream, and I had already had a little bit of wine that evening, so like my palate might have been whatever. So I'm excited to get into this tonight in a more detailed way, a little bit more of a focused way. And also, what else was I going to say? Jeez, lost my train of thought. I'm tired, guys. It's been a long day, long week. I was late getting the thumbnail up for this live stream because Lucy, our cat, is having some issues right now. I don't know what's going on with her, whether it's like digestion or something, but she is not acting herself. I was really worried earlier, and I was thinking I was going to have to run her to the vet, like emergency vet visit, and then I was going to cancel the stream. But I think we're good now. I might have to run in the other room just for 1 second here. Actually, I forgot to do something. So you might have to give me like 15 seconds off screen. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. This stream, I'm not going to do 2 hours. We're gonna cut this off a little bit earlier tonight, just, you know, because I'm wiped out. I want to get some sleep and everything else. But appreciate you being here. Let me know what you're sipping on in the chat. We'll get into this in just a second. I'm going to have my first sip, run off screen for about 15 seconds, and I'll be right back, okay? 1 sec. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Cool. So, Daniel P is in the chat right now. I'm gonna check up on the chat and see who else here. But I know Daniel P is in the house, and Daniel's the reason I'm able to do this stream tonight. The reason I'm able to taste my very first Pappy 15. I've never had any Pappy Van Winkle. The only thing I've ever had from the Van Winkle line is one pour of what I imagine at the time was a 2019 Lot B 12-year. So 90 proof. That's it. I've had plenty of other Weller stuff. I think I've tasted every Weller product at this point. Although I don't know that I've had CYPB. That might be the one that I haven't had. Everything else for sure. Dusty Weller 12s, which I love this stuff. Very good. But the Pappy's new to me. William Larue Weller 2022, which is 124.7 proof. I've had a few WLWs, 2016, 2019, 2020. So I have a little more experience with those. And then the Hardin's Creek Jacob's Well. we'll get into that as well tonight. But I'm going to do the Hardin's Creek at the end because I want to just get into this with wheaters on my palate, with wheated bourbons only on my palate. I don't want to cloud it with the Jacob's Well because that is a Jim Beam product. It's going to have Jim Beam characteristics, probably be a little spicier, all that kind of stuff, all right? So everybody please hit that like button if you are jumping in right now. Let me catch up on the chat, and then it's time to drink Pappy, which is crazy. You know, and I've tasted more expensive stuff than Pappy, like even on secondary. All the way up to the Michter's 20, which is like the top of what I've tasted in terms of price, about $4,500 to $5,000. The Pappy 15 is like, it dropped on secondary. I don't know if that's a quality thing for this particular year or if everything kind of deflated after the crazy inflation that happened over the last few years. But Pappy 15 is around 1,800-ish now, 1,800, where it was about 25 not too long ago. Christine Vasco, Mike, Meyer, Jay, what is up, guys? Roy as well, Krista Ginsburg. Let's see, what else? Who else do we have in here? Sugar Kitty. And Jay with... I was just deciding between all my BTAC and Pappy. Oh, wait, I have none. That's funny. Oh, yeah, Mike said that earlier, something like that. Just deciding between those 3 bottles myself. Then I woke up and poured an old Granddad Bonded. Nice. Top Dog and Amy, what's up? Andrew Kelly. Joe W, no wine tonight, Cam. No wine tonight. I'm not feeling so hot, just to be honest with you. Not like sick in the sense of having a cold or something. Again, just some medical things going on with me that I can't quite figure out, but yeah, just not feeling so great. So I'm gonna drink a little bourbon tonight, but I'm not gonna go crazy, that's for sure. Plus I have a rehearsal at 10 in the morning. Okay. David, John, Gary, what's up, guys? Dad's got iced tea still working. Aiden making creamy Asiago chicken and crusted broccoli. All right. I'll get down with a little Asiago chicken. That sounds good. Jake is drinking an Elijah Craig Private Barrel Pick 132.4. Nice. Nice, man. Yes, thank you, Dustin. What's up, man? Hey, yeah, hit that like button on your way in. Tim Evans, Big Vic in the house. Who else? Hendo. Good to see all of you. Thank you for jumping in for this this live stream. I think it's going to be fun and hopefully not too long. Oh, Tim, nice trade, man. I mean, secondary value, you won that trade by about $400. And I know it's not about that, but when I think about ETL and Weller 12, I mean, I like them both. I've never had Old Rip 10, so I can't really speak to it. But it's the same proof as the Pappy I'm about to drink tonight, a few years younger. So I imagine you probably won that trade by, like, even just in terms of purely based on the whiskey. DC, man, what's up, dude? I gotta defend the belt now, and I'm in the quarterfinals this year, starting out. So I don't get to skip ahead like Grease did last year. All right, so let's get into it. Here's what I'd like to do. Right now I'm drinking Weller Special Reserve to kind of get warmed up for this. I'd like to pour a little Weller 12, actually, from 2019. So this is not dusty. This is just a few years old, what I had left in my bottle. I'd like to pour a little Weller 12 to kind of work my way up, you know, age statement-wise, not proof-wise, and then get into this Pappy 15 and get the tasting, do the tasting first thing with a fresh palate, a freshly warmed-up palate, and early on in the video, so if people do watch this replay, they can kind of find it early. All right, so little Weller Special Reserve. Now on to the 12. Oh, wow, yeah. I've actually never compared Weller Special Reserve to Weller 12, and I know that's not what this is about tonight, but it's actually a pretty remarkable difference side by side. And I like them both. I like Weller 12. I, just like the rest of the world, think it's underproof, but it smells insanely good next to the Special Reserve. So there is a pretty remarkable difference there. You get into a lot of denser, richer, sweet notes, dark fruits. Yeah, just that sweet Buffalo Trace oak. It feels a little bit syrupy, whereas the Special Reserve is just even on the nose. It's just more grain forward. It seems less refined. Of course, it's younger. All the things you would expect in that comparison, all of those are true. What's up, Ethan? Ethan is a former student of mine at Capitol. Weller, the poor man's Pappy. Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, that's what caused... Unfortunately, that caused some problems, and now Weller is nowhere to be found. Olev, dude, what's up, man? Some music folks in here. That's awesome. And Roy says, sorry to hear about your cat camp sipping on Springbank. Springbank 18, great choice. I've got a bunch of Springbank samples over there that I need to get into from like 6 months ago or more. They were sent to me with a lot of Kilkerran and like one-off stuff, special releases. I need to get into some of that. But yeah, I'm hoping Lucy's okay. Talking about my cat now. Hoping she's okay. I mean, I think it's just a digestion thing. But she made a mess in the house a couple days ago. And instead of cleaning the rug in our living room, we have hardwood floors and a big rug. The rug's seen it all, been through it all. I rolled that thing up and took it right out to the dumpster. I was just not dealing with it. After the mess she made, you know, it was not something I wanted to sit and scrub out. After every sort of coffee stain, everything you could imagine. It was a white rug, too. It's like, yeah, let's get this out of here. Olav, great to see you too, man. Awesome. So, working my way up. Let's get into the Pappy. Bring me to Pappy. Now, I got to leave enough for a review video on the channel. Okay, so... yeah. So I've got about 2/3 of an ounce in this glass. And about 1 ounce left. So 1 ounce should be enough for me to make a pretty solid review video for this, okay? So again, Daniel, who is in the live chat tonight, thank you so much, man. Guys, it's not every day that you get stuff like this. And as of, you know, as lately, I should say, I've been getting more and more crazy samples from just people that are way too generous, way too kind. And so, Daniel, thank you, man. I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to taste a lot of these things that otherwise I wouldn't be able to taste myself. Okay. So, yeah, Pappy 15, 107 proof, just like Weller 107. I would imagine it's probably just 15 years old. I don't know if there's older stuff blended in. No idea. 2022, let's check it out on the nose. Man. So, like I said a few minutes ago, I tasted this the other night on a Patreon-only live stream. And one thing I noticed, which I'm noticing right now... Oh, first off, I've said nothing, right? I'm sorry. It smells really good. Okay? Let's start with that. But one thing I noticed on that other live stream is that this is only 107 proof. I mean, we're not talking 120, 130. And it still feels really closed off to me. Like... For a bottle that has this much hype, that MSRP is probably what, like $150, maybe 200. It's not that high, but then secondary value is like 10 to 12 times that amount. To put a product out there like this that on the nose is this closed off is kind of shocking to me. Like there are really good aromas in the whiskey, a lot of good stuff coming out of the glass, but it feels tight and it feels hotter than it probably is. Now, I know I'm going to give this some airtime right now. Like, I don't want to make any snap judgments on this thing. You know, this is fresh out of the sample bottle. But still, I am a firm believer that a whiskey, you can't buy a bottle of whiskey and say, yeah, I'm going to open this and wait 3 months for some air to get in and for this thing to open up. Like, that, I don't like that, you know? It's not about patience. It's just about the reality that you're purchasing a product that can be great right out of the bottle. Because a lot of other whiskeys are great out of the bottle. So there is a standard to that, I think. Anyways, back to the whiskey. So it's very sweet on the nose, but not in the way that you would expect. If you've ever had Weller Special Reserve or Weller 12, that kind of sweetness that you get from those wheated bourbons, if you aged that in your mind and proofed it up in your mind, you do not get Pappy 15, at least in my experience. Like right now, this is sweet, but it also has some savory characteristics to it. I'm getting a lot of burnt orange, a little bit of a toasty note to this. Definitely vanilla sweetness. Definitely the standard Buffalo Trace kind of dark grape sweetness. But it's also a little bit savory. Tons of spicy kind of spicy cinnamon stick notes. Yeah, and maybe even a little bit of clove in here. It's not very balanced on the nose, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there are good things. It's masked by how tight it is, how much alcohol is coming out of the glass as opposed to just straight up flavor. Yeah, the toastiness in here. Toasted bread. Like, literally toasted bread with some sort of, jam on it. I don't know. And Daniel says that sample is from a bottle that was open maybe 2 to 3-ish weeks. So it's a very fresh pour of this. All right, so let me look at the chat. Aiden is curious how Weller 12 compares to WLW. Yeah, thank you, Amy. Hit that like button, guys. Joe, 3 dogs who we bought a few ruggables. I'll have to check that out and see what that's all about. So Dustin says, it's so crazy to think Pappy 15 was at one time almost 1,000 more than... I know. Well, we'll get to the WLW and do a comparison here in a second, but it is crazy to think that it was up that high for a while. Amy says, seems like most of the toasted stuff gets... Yeah, but this isn't toasted. I mean, but you're right, that anything with a secondary barrel finish, given some airtime, 100%. And the best example of that, just from last week to this week, which this is the bottle I opened on last week's live stream, the Redwood Empire Haystack Needle. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus. This bottle, I mean, the apple brandy finish, which was super closed off last week, this week it's drinking incredibly. And, it still needs maybe a drop or two of water, but the airtime is really helping it out. So I think you're right. Now, I've stalled long enough. I've talked long enough. I want to taste this Pappy 15 now. Just trying to get some more air into this thing. It is getting sweeter. I'll give it that. It's getting a little more like a fruit syrup kind of sweetness. And you can't smell viscosity, I know. You can't really smell the viscosity or mouthfeel. But you can smell it, smell the aromas, and interpret what it might be like on the palate, and oftentimes that is correct. In this case, it smells like it's going to have a syrupy texture to it. All right, let's get into it. Cheers, guys. Pappy 15. it's way, way better on the palate than it is on the nose. I mean, it's not even close. I got some green Jolly Rancher on the front end of that. All candy for this on the palate. All candy sweetness. But as soon as I say that, this thing changes as well. So front of the palate for me, definitely some spice up front. It drinks to me hotter than 107 proof. And that's okay. That actually can be a good thing. Hits with spice and hits with all candy at the front end. Green Jolly Rancher. If you want to stay on the Jolly Rancher train, we could say purple Jolly Rancher. It's got that grape note to it. Yeah. But as it rolls back, that distinct cinnamon note that I got on the nose, like cinnamon stick, so much cinnamon on the palate. And I think maybe the best part of this whiskey is like back of the palate and now into the finish, because the finish is a mile long. A mile long? That's a distance measurement for a duration. But you know what I'm saying? It's a really long finish on this whiskey. It's still going. I mean, that you don't need to take another sip. And as this thing transitions back away from the candy fruit kind of notes, you get the cinnamon spice. You get some of those burnt, toasty, burnt cherry, burnt orange kind of notes in the mid palate. Gets a little bit savory there, almost a little salty, like a little salinity to this. And then on the back end, the cinnamon lasts forever, and it turns to a bit of like a dark chocolate or espresso kind of note. So the good evolution, good development on the palate. But the nose was just so lacking for me. It's still not great. I mean, it's better once it's on the palate, once it gets some air, it sweetens up, but it's still not a great nose for a whiskey. And I don't just mean it's not a great nose for Pappy. It's not a great nose for a whiskey. It's just so out of balance for whatever reason. And the palate, you could say the palate is kind of out of balance as well, just the way that it develops. It's so there's so many different moments, so many different parts of it. Doesn't feel quite seamless, even though it is a really long finish. So I'm kind of confused by this. And if this bottle is the reason that Pappy 15 dropped in value, I get it. And maybe some previous vintages are a little bit better than this one. Yeah, still savory note on the nose. Savory, toasty. Sometimes I say rubbery note when I talk about some toasted products. Sagamore Double Oak. Things like that. You get a little rubber note. This actually has a little bit of that rubber note in here, but it's not so much that it makes me feel strange about it. Aiden says, I thought Woodinville Port was so much better with air, all sulfur. Yeah, the other night on the blind flight that I did, I think it was last week, when Sarah poured the Chattanooga port cask finish, there was that, and there was the Bellmead brandy finish. It was finished for 40 months in a brandy cask, which is just way too long to sit in a brandy cask. Both of those were just sulfur all day, and I'm beginning to wonder if quality control on finishing barrels is not good right now, because for you saying there's a sulfur note on that's not good. All right, Lita, what's up, man? That's a good name to see in the chat. Tried WLW22, my first and only to this day, and although good, it didn't blow my mind. I guess I set too high of expectations. Yeah, we'll get into it here in a sec. I'm excited. I love William Larue Weller. I mean, what a great bottle, Derek, good to see you, Derek. I've had that before where something smells oily. Rare to find, but yeah. You can smell, It doesn't make sense. Oh, I smelled it, and it smells like it's going to have high viscosity. I mean, you can't smell viscosity, but you know what I'm talking about. Jeb. Dude, I know. I was up too late that night. Okay, guys, I'm trying to catch up in the chat. Thank you for bearing with me. And again, just want to give this thing some airtime. Even still, more airtime. Marshall, how would an Old Fitz? They're going to be two completely different flavor profiles, and that would actually be really hard to make a judgment. Pappy 15 versus, well, I have Old Fitz 15. I don't want to do that comparison. That seems like a little off topic for me. That would be a really tough one because I'm a little more partial to the flavor profile. Well, I don't know. I like them both, but the Pappy flavor profile, like that real sweetness, seems like I would like it better, but it's not done well enough in this particular vintage, I guess. I guess we should call them vintages or this year's release. I don't think it's done well enough for me to say, like, I would take this over an Old Fitz, but at maybe a different years that's a little bit more integrated and a better blend, maybe that one. Amy, that's funny. What's up, Toshi? Hey, man. Okay, coming back to the nose again. Not a lot of whiskey in this glass. So whiskeys, when you have very, very little in a glass like this, air changes them dramatically and pretty quickly the less you get in the glass, right? And that's happening here. It's smelling better and better. So I guess my advice is just pour like a quarter of an ounce and let it sit in a glass for 10 minutes. You know, very teeny little one sip pour and go with that for the Pappy. I'm going to do one more quick sip and try to leave myself a last bit of the Pappy 15 because I want to go to the William Larue Weller and just have this at least as an option to do a side-by-side. The palate on that is really good. It's really, really good. I mean, yeah. Super sweet. That second sip for me, way better than the first. Way more vanilla. And when I think of an aged whiskey, the biggest note that I look for in a really highly aged whiskey, besides sweet oak, which is what you want. You don't want bitter oak once you sit in the barrel for 15 to 20 years. Yes, sweet oak, but the biggest note I look for is vanilla. And it's got to be a decadent, creamy, big vanilla note. It can't be cheap, candied vanilla. Vanilla that's like a white cake or seems like it's coming from, you know, the corn grain, like youthful grain. No, it's got to be decadent. And this has a lot of that on the second sip. So, all right. This is good. And I think... I mean, this is probably not the best example of a Pappy Van Winkle. And if it is, that's actually kind of a shame. But I don't imagine that this one is. It still does show me, though, why there is so much hype behind the brand. Because it's really good whiskey. The marketing, obviously, is one thing. The rarity. It's clear that something rare is sought after. Plus, like, the name Pappy Van Winkle is such a collectible name. It's such a classic sounding name. It really appeals to the kind of demographic probably that you're mainly going to be getting or mainly trying to market this to, right? I get that. But the whiskey is really good. So I understand the hype. At this point, based on this one, the hype is not warranted. Just from a, like, $1,800 secondary, there's a lot more you can do with that $1,800 than buy this Pappy 15. It's going to go a lot further. You're going to get more whiskey. And you'll probably be just as happy. Maybe even happier. Dustin, 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000, I'm going to buy a King of Kentucky over the 2022 Pappy 15. I want to be very clear. Only talking 2022 on this. And Ashton, there we go. When Pappy Van Winkle initially became famous, it was still Stolzle Weller whiskey. Yeah. And Stolzle Weller is very different. It's good. I mean, I would imagine at this age when you're dealing with like Pappy, like old school Pappy, green glass, that kind of stuff. Any of that old stuff, I would imagine would be a totally different beast and really good. I've had some Stolzle. It's all good. None of it has blown me away. But I've also not had like really highly aged stuff. I think 10-year-old Stitzel is the oldest I've ever had. Okay. So let's move on. I'm going to leave the Pappy out, but let's move on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the Pappy back into the sample bottle. And then if I do want to get a little bit more out for a second look or a comparison, I will re-pour it. So let's move on. William Larue Weller. Okay. Is that going to be enough? Let's do a teeny little bit more. So what this means for just content and videos that I'm able to put out, this year, hopefully in the next week, I will be able to get out. Well, my Michter's 20 video is still almost done. I have 3.5 minutes. I told my patrons just 2 nights ago, I have 3.5 minutes left to edit of my Michter's 20 video. I just have not been able to sit down and do anything. It's been a busy last 2 days. But in the next week or two, I can do a Pappy 15, a William Larue 2022, a Thomas H. Handy 2022. Yeah. I mean, and there's plenty of other stuff here to review, but those ones are going to be really cool, I think. Oh my God. All right. This is another thing that I want to come back to. I pulled this up a second ago from Ashton. You know, over time, a lot of these brands, the whiskey changes, but it changes slowly. And after a while, that flavor drift in different batches of the same whiskey, it can be pretty remarkable. If you just look at something that's 10 years old and a current day release of something, it's pretty different. Quality of whiskey is just kind of across the board declining, I would say. And that's one thing, but also a lot of other things change too. And Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is a perfect example. As far as I can tell from what I've heard from people, the older Pirate bottles, they would explicitly tell you we're blending older stuff in these, not just 12-year. It's older stuff going into the blend. We call it 12 years. But then the current day Elijah Craig's, they say this is just 12 years old. And you can tell the flavor difference. So it would be funny to kind of see how the Pappy Van Winkle flavor has changed over time. Because all of the hype for Pappy, Ashton's right, it's decades old. Well, to some degree. I mean, whiskey went through ups and downs over that period of time. Really, I think the craze, the real craze of Pappy is probably the last 15 years. But whatever. Big Potato, I would love to see a King of Kentucky and Heaven Hill 17. Man, I wish I could do that comparison for you. I did the Michter's 20 video that's coming out. It's Michter's 20 versus Heaven Hill 17 at the end. I pulled out the Heaven Hill 17 that I had because I just thought that's the best thing I can throw in this comparison. I didn't even think about King of Kentucky, and I guess I should have. All right, let's see. So William Larue Weller, 124.7 proof now in the glass. The highest end Weller product that there is. Oh, Sarah's texting me. Sarah's in Orlando right now at a work conference, and, she just wants to be home, I think. All right. So much better on the nose from the William Larue. Yes, there's more alcohol. It's, 17, 18 proof points higher. But it's not as tight as the Pappy 15 was. The Pappy 15 just felt like, it's like we decant wine. We open a Joseph Magnus cigar blend, and Nancy instructs you on the website, let this sit out. Pop the bottle and let it sit out. Get some air in this thing. The Pappy needs that. The William Larue does not. It comes out and it's super big on the nose. It's a little bit a little bit of a brighter flavor profile than the Pappy right now. There is a dark edge to it underneath all of it too. There is like a coffee note on the back end of this William Larue on the nose. But the primary thing I get is kind of like caramel. Yeah, caramel drizzled oranges. I don't know. Maybe they're burnt oranges. But like some sort of caramelized orange note. What is it with... it's actually getting a yeasty thing here, and I'm not used to that. I didn't pick this up the other night when I smelled it. Almost a little yeastiness, kind of like an Old Forester yeastiness on the William Larue Weller. Huh. Very different than what I remember the other night. The other night I was also, again, a few pours deep already when I started, so I'm glad I'm doing this a second time. So let's go light to dark now on the William Larue. Let me kind of break this down fully before I taste it. The top end note, white pepper, dough, yeast, this kind of note. Not a ton of vanilla here. All right, so I like the vanilla on the Pappy, not so much on the William Larue. Okay, a little bit of like peach, like I said, orange, caramel drizzled orange, caramelized orange, peach, oak spice. So, yeah, let's call it oak spice. There's like a generic wood spice note in here. So not like this aromatic cinnamon on the Pappy. This one's a little brighter. It's kind of blending into that white pepper thing I talked about. Okay, as you continue getting into this thing, chocolate, caramel, standard bourbon notes here. With a little bit of that wheated flair to it. And finally, on the very, very back end of this, there's some coffee, kind of adding a little bitter kick. And I like that. I think the whiskey kind of needs that. Ooh, Dustin. Great, dude. Great call. William Larue Weller always gives me boozy, thick cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. That makes a lot of sense. So I was talking about the spice notes and like this kind of oak spice that's going on in here. Dr. Pepper is a pretty interesting description. To me, I usually more distinctly get a Dr. Pepper note on Old Barton. You know, like a lot of that old sourced Barton, 13 to 16 years old. I can see it though on here. All right, let's go to the palate now. Cheers. Ooh. It's hot. That's a hot one. Maybe a little too hot, actually, on the palate. So this might be reverse of the Pappy. I think I like the nose on the Pappy. No, sorry. I like the palate on the Pappy better, for sure. I think the William Larue, I think I like the nose better on this. And I think the palate is maybe a little too extreme. Now, that was the first sip, the highest proof thing I've had tonight. I do need to do a second sip, now that I've acclimated to it and everything. But for now, I think the nose wins on this. Tim, Michter's 20 is more of a joke than Pappy. Pricing got crazy. $5K for Celebration. So, Tim, yeah, Michter's 20, like, to me, does not... I don't understand the hype behind Michter's 20. I mean, maybe some of the older ones are incredible. But the one that Darrell sent me, I think, was a 2019, and it was really good whiskey, but at $5,000, my God. I mean, I've had stuff for, like... I mean, Heaven Hill 17 is right there with it. Dusties especially. Like, a lot of Dusties, I would have a proclivity towards those. And then $5,000 for Celebration. I mean, that's probably just MSRP. A secondary on Celebration is going to be stupid. I would see that. What do they go for? Like 20, 25K or something like that? I mean, just silly money. DC, I'm not a big Calumet 16 guy, honestly. So I'm going to say Pappy 15 on that. But even trying to get the subjectivity out of that, I still think Pappy 15 is probably a better whiskey. It's a little more exciting, more bells and whistles. Calumet 16 is just going to be, it's more straight ahead, more straightforward. You kind of know what you're in for. Britsu says, when I had William LaRue, I tasted tropical. Do you know which year you had? I'm going to smell it again with that in mind. Lido says, I found the nose superior to the palate. Okay, there we go. I think the same thing here. Hey, Big Potato, if you find me a sample of Double Eagle Very Rare, I will take it. I will take it. I'd pay, look, I would pay SRP for it. I'd pay $2,000. Not going to pay it's like, I think it's like 15,000 on secondary. No. Never. Okay, so 2022. I'm going to go back in for the nose here and see. Excuse me, I just had a big dinner right before this, so I got a little belching going. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think both of these are a little bit. I think I said this the other night too on Patreon. Both of these are a little ethanol forward for me. Like, the Pappy got better with air, but the William LaRue is still very, very alcohol forward on the nose. Yeah, the William LaRue doesn't wow me, but it's really, really good. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game for both of these, I guess. So I'm looking for tropical notes now. So I think I can understand why you would say that. And I think... To me, I was talking about kind of this yeasty note that I was getting on the nose. I think some of the fruit and some of that yeastiness, the way that they kind of come off, there's this funkiness to them. And I think it comes off maybe as a little bit of like a coconut guava combination, which makes sense. Like what I expect from coconut notes falls in line with this brighter yeasty thing that I'm kind of talking about with the like white pepper spice. Those things kind of intermingle in my mind. They're in the same kind of, position from bright to dark in terms of flavor, maybe. So I think I know what you're talking about. I wouldn't consider this tropical forward for me, but I don't think that's a crazy thing to say, and I think it makes perfect sense. Actually, not to be like real pepper specific here, but now I'm getting like the most distinct, fresh, cracked black pepper note on the nose of that William LaRue. Yeah, wow. I must have missed that before somehow. And that's more typical. I think oftentimes they talk about these notes on William LaRue as being like orange, clove, black pepper, vanilla, sweetness, caramel, this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's good. I'll tell you this. I'm not going to do the comparison right now with 2016. I have a little 2016 William LaRue Weller left from Toshi Bake. Thank you, Toshi. I did that comparison on my Patreon live stream. 2016, far and away, for me, I think, was better over the 2022 WLW, just for what it's worth. All right. Between these two, when I go back and forth on the nose, now I have a little bit of Pappy and a little bit of William LaRue left. Last sips, basically. As I go back and forth, the Pappy smells like a carnival. I don't know what it is. It smells like a carnival to me. And the William LaRue, what's starting to stand out in this comparison side by side is that wood note, that oak note on the William LaRue Weller. It's getting very close to the raw wood lumberyard territory, which I do not like. You find that in a lot of younger whiskeys nowadays, especially younger toasted whiskeys. it's verging on that. And again, if I, for comparison, here, I'm going to throw the Weller Special Reserve in here. I'm comparing incredible whiskey, high price, high age, to another incredible high price, high age. So the comments I'm giving, please keep context in mind. Like, if I say, oh, it's really raw wood forward, and then you put, I don't know, some 4-year MGP in a toasted barrel in front of me, it's not gonna be a close comparison. So please, take my comments not with a grain of salt, but just understand the context of what's happening. Yeah. So I go over to the Weller Special Reserve, and it smells like bubble gum. Actually smells a little bit like cough syrup. Grape cough syrup. Okay, now back to the Larue. Now back to the Pappy. It's really close. It's really close. They both have their imperfections. I might be in the Pappy camp on this. I think the Pappy camp is it's lower proof, a little more refined. And even though the nose wasn't perfect, it smells pretty darn good right now. And the Larue almost smells a little young. I mean, it's a couple years younger than the Pappy. Still really good. So, I don't know. I'm going to do one more sip of the Larue and then do the Pappy right after it. The Larue is good, but it's not great. Toshi, you're right, man. 2016's insane. It's so good. And I think what makes a good William Larue Weller is the balance. It makes any good bourbon, really. But I think in the case of Larue, you're dealing with such high alcohol content. And wheaters, I don't like wheaters at super high proof. I just don't think they do well at a really high proof. I think there's a sweet spot for them, and oftentimes they need water. And so when you're bottling a barrel-proof wheater that's only 12 and a half years old now, because WLW is much younger than it used to be when it had a 19-year age statement on it back in the day. I think you're fighting some things there, and you have to be really careful with the blend, with the final product. And I think 2016 is an example of the final product not being overwhelmed by alcohol and them getting a full flavored whiskey out of it. And the flavors themselves are just delicious. It seems like the problem nowadays with a lot of different whiskeys across the board, not just these Buffalo Trace products, it's just that the balance is going out the window, and we're just getting stuff that even if it's 10 years old, tastes 6 years old. That's happening kind of consistently, I think. So I said it smelled like a carnival. I smelled like this Pappy smelled like a carnival, I said a second ago. Joe says, like carnival food, cotton candy, funnel cakes, caramel apples, or carnival workers. Body odor. Jeez. The first one. Unless I'm confused. Big potato, it's like fatty and buttery. Yeah, that's what I'm getting on the nose. As I come back to it now, especially in the comparison. Comparing it to something that feels a little sharp, like the WLW, helps to demonstrate to me just how rich the Pappy actually is. Not without its imperfections. And I'm actually, because of that, because what I just am finding in the comparison, I'm glad I smelled and tasted the Pappy alone first to try to pick out those things that I would consider to be weak points of it without being influenced by what makes it great in a comparison like this. It's just in isolation. So, All right, last sip of the Pappy. Wow, what a cool tasting, though. It's good. It's good. It's funny to see the similarities between the two. There are definite similarities. Back into the Pappy, now I'm getting that fresh cracked black pepper note I got on the Larue. I'm getting that now on the Pappy, which I did not get earlier. It's decadent. The Pappy's a decadent whiskey. So, cool. Very, very cool. Guys, thanks for hanging out for that. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for checking it out as well. Couple other things to taste. And like I said, it's going to be a little shorter stream tonight. So we've got 88 in here. This is kind of the busiest stream we've had in a while on the channel. So I want to thank you for being here. I know in a couple of minutes, other channels are going to go live. Other channels are already live right now. But before you leave, if you do jump in, replay, or right now, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And also, I want to just do a couple quick announcements of things coming up before I get into the Hardin's Creek, which is here, the Jacob's Well. I also might just taste this for fun, this old school Weller 12. Let me grab a few more glasses. Hang on. Okay. Couple quick announcements. This Sunday, so in just a couple of days, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on It's Bourbon Night, their live stream. Chad and Sarah with Matt Porter from ADHD Whiskey. Matt and I are going head-to-head. Got my samples in the mail today. Oh, you can't really see it. It says, The Funky Drummer. Here, I'll turn it down so the light doesn't blow it out. The Funky Drummer. Open it up. And we got some samples here with a little seal on the top. I don't know if that's like some... Maybe we're supposed to crack those seals only when the stream starts as like a way of identifying that we haven't cheated or something. But 5 samples in there that say 1 through 5, and then a tiebreaker sample. So 6 total samples. I don't know exactly what we're doing yet. They're all about halfway full, which is cool. So I'm excited to see what Chad and Sarah are up to, what we're going to be doing with Matt there too. And then also Tuesday night, I jumped into the Bourbon Junkies live stream at the perfect time too. They started. It's like I popped in and I immediately heard something about. Sean said to Dan, "Who won Matt Madness?" I was like, "This is perfect timing." But we were talking about going live together because we have a game that was sent to us by, I think Jeff Frederick sent it to both of us, and we've had it for a few months now. I emailed them. They've not emailed me back. I'll nudge them in another few days if they don't. But tentatively, February 21st on the Bourbon Junkies channel. Tentatively. Let's say. Big asterisk next to that until we figure it out. So it's Bourbon Night and Bourbon Junkies in 1 month. That means I got to put out some good content this month too, which I'm working on. Can't have that happen without, continuing to push the channel forward, and hopefully that'll get a few more subscribers as well. I've been wanting to stream with both of those guys for quite a while, and it's going to be really cool. Oh my God, Dusty Weller 12 is like underrated. You want to talk about an underrated bottle on secondary? I mean, everything on secondary is overrated based on the prices, but compared to other things in this price point, which is like between $350 and $450 for these Dusty Weller 12s, these things are underrated. I'm just going to say it right now. And they don't fly away often. Like, people aren't snatching them up immediately, which is just crazy to me. Thanks, Tim. Thank you, Amy. Roy, are you out of here? Just take care. Almost 100 in chat. I know. It's awesome, guys. So thank you all for being here again. I really appreciate it. Marshall. I got to take a sip of this Dusty Weller 12. Have any of you guys tasted this? This is not super old. I think this is like 2013. Yes, this is a 2013. Let me know if you've had any of these. I mean, they blow the pants off of, or socks off of, or whatever article of clothing off of the modern day Weller 12. It's not even close. I just wish it was higher proof. Oh. I just wish it was higher proof, but the flavor is just awesome. So what are your thoughts about starting in the quarterfinals for Matt Madness? I think it's cool. Part of me thinks it would be very convenient to just go straight to the championship round and not have to work my way up. That would be nice. But truthfully, I wouldn't have, like, if I did that and let's say I won the championship, I wouldn't really feel like I earned it. And so, yeah, I'm excited. It's every round is going to feel like a lot more pressure to me this year. I know that's silly. It's just like an online whiskey tasting thing. It's really not just that. Like, I'm really competitive, and a lot of other people in Matt Madness are super competitive too. But I'm going to feel like I'm walking a tightrope every time I go on to do these rounds. And I say every time. It might just be one. I might get knocked out in the quarterfinals, which would totally stink. Daniel, hey man, next time I send you some samples, I'm going to send you one of those. Sample of this Weller 12. I need to get a backup for this. I'm almost out. This is my third one of these. My third Dusty Weller 12. Amy's got an antique in the... That is one, Amy, that I've actually never tried. I've never tried the Special Reserve or the antique in the old squat bottles. I've always wondered if the same difference that I get from the Weller 12s is a similar flavor difference in those other two. Because if so, I bet they're both awesome. Especially the 107 with the higher proof, you know? Maybe that's why people used to absolutely love 107. And nowadays, I think 107... I know you like it, Amy. I don't want to start an argument. I think 107 today is lacking. But if you go back to this era of Weller, and if it tasted like this at a higher proof, even if it was a little younger, that would be a great bourbon. Baked potato. Yeah, he definitely wasn't happy when that happened. I don't remember who he was up against that round, but definitely not happy. Hey, it's my sister. $1.49. Let's go. All right. Oh, that Dusty Weller 12. Kind of grassy. Dang it. I never picked that up before. Now that I picked it up, I'll never be able to forget it. A little grassy note on there that I'm not liking. Dang. Oh man, I just spilled. Hang on. I have no paper towels in this room, but I do have Kleenex. Let's see if I can just dab this up a little bit. I got it all over my keyboard, so if I start like logging in or switching mics or something, maybe that's my keyboard on the fritz. I ran out of paper towels in this room. I promise I have not drank too much. That is not why I spilled. But it doesn't change the fact that I did spill. So. Oh, DC. Yeah, the 1989 Grandad 114 you sent was damn good. The Lot 18, yeah. That is that's an all-time bottle for me. I mean, that's in my top 10, top 15 for all time, I think. It's just so good. I still cannot get over, though, the George T. Stagg 2009. I still can't get over that pour. And one of them popped up on secondary a couple days ago, and Dustin tagged me in it. It was 2,400, and I was just sitting there sweating. I couldn't do it, but I'm just sweating profusely looking at that bottle. Oh, Faith says I'm upset it didn't show the sticker I sent. It was a hot dog. All right. Let's get into our last pour. Unless something else pops up, which, you know, if there's anything else you guys want me to sip on before I go, just let me know. It's going to be the Hardin's Creek Jacob's Well at 108 proof. And remind me, guys, I believe this is a blend of 15 and 16 year bourbon. Amy, serious question. Do you have a photographic memory? Just curious as you remember. No, definitely not, Amy. No, but I think I guess what I would ask you first before I say anything, like, what exactly are you referencing? Because I think for some reason I do remember like bottles and tasting notes a lot. Like, I mean, I did well in like school and like math and stuff like that, you know. But I've never had kind of a knack for memory, quite in the way that I've had with like bottles and tasting notes. And when I first got into whiskey, that was one thing that kind of took me by surprise. I was like, oh, you're really just like kind of remembering these things. I don't know, it felt unusual to me. So I'm not saying this to sound like kind of a wiener. You know, I'm not trying to sound any kind of way. But I did notice that I had a knack for that. And I thought that was always kind of odd. But it's not like that in other things in my life. I definitely don't have a photographic memory. So I'm not sure. Oh, Daniel says 15 and 16 of both of Beam's mash bills. Okay, I didn't know it was 2 mash bills in there. Cool. Which Coy Hill was that at Pours in the Park at 4 a.m.? I mean, you're asking the wrong... Oh, I see. Okay. It's like, why are you asking me that? Oh, okay, the memory thing. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, and you know, Amy, as I'm starting to get into wine right now, I know it's just the early stages and it could change, but I don't have the same kind of memory ability with wine, and it's definitely a vaster thing. So much more to know in other languages, you know, but I don't feel the same as I like it. It's really fun. I might not dive in as deep to wine as I thought I was going to, just because every time I come back to whiskey, I'm like, it kind of feels like home to me. Ben, have you tasted the backup Blantons behind you on the shelf? Are you talking about the LMDWs back here? I know I pulled these out for my patrons. I can't remember if I pulled them out on stream, but you guys have seen the crazy Blantons back there, the Singapore release. But I got 2 of the French LMDW Blantons. I love, like, you know, every year they have a different bottle and box design and stuff like that for these. These 2021s, I love. It just looks classy to me. And again, the reason I bought these, wedding date, dump date for all the 2021s. And these are 2 different barrels, which is kind of cool. I don't know that they'll ever be open at the same time to compare them, because these are just basically anniversary pours for Sarah and I. And they kind of need to last the rest of our lives because they weren't cheap. I got an L and a B, an L for Leach, another one of those, which the Singapore is also an L for Leach. It's nice. So Ben, I've not opened these, and they will not be open for many years. I mean, until the other. I think what I'd like to do is when the other one gets close, maybe down to like 100 mils. That'll be in a couple years. Right when we're going to kill that off, open another one and then do a side-by-side. So it's the longest running side-by-side, you know? But truthfully, it's kind of a nice display back there to have... to have 3 of them in a row. It looks nice on the shelf. Yeah, Amy. I know. I've actually worried about the room I'm in with the amount of bottles in here, because I live in a pretty old house, which honestly might mean that it's sturdier. But maybe not this particular house. Maybe some old houses are built like, you know, built like tanks. I don't know about this house. We can't wait to get out of this house. Bubblebath, you don't have to kill it every time. You can keep it for a few days, or Jeb is trying to twist my arm to tell me to get a Corvin, which I probably should do. Oh, what's up, dude? What's up, Trev? Good to see you, dude. All right, let's get on to this Jacob's Well, which smells very good and very funkadelic. It's a funky whiskey. And actually, I think I might grab my Knob Creek. I think I might grab a Knob Creek 12 to put next to it, just as a point of reference. All right, I just need to get a new glass, I guess. Cool. So Knob Creek 12 is going to be 100 proof. Jacob's Well is 108, but it's okay. The reason I'm putting the Knob Creek 12 next to it is because I think it's better than the Knob Creek 15. And it still has a lot of the same really oaky notes. So. Daniel, I might do that. That's actually a good idea. And I forget which one's which now. Crap. I think I poured a lot of Knob Creek 12. Oh, yeah. This is the Knob Creek 12. Okay. So here, let me identify these things so you guys know which one's which. Jacob's Well. And the Knob 18 on your left. Cool. Let's get into the Jacob's Well. Yeah, left is 12, says Daniel. Your left. All right. So Jacob's Well. After smelling the Knob Creek 12, it's kind of hard to smell the Jacob's Well. I need to get a reset. Special Reserve, Weller Special Reserve, a little elbow. Let's go back to the Jacob's Well. Okay. What happened is the Knob Creek 12, even though it's lower proof, the intensity of the smell of the whiskey is so strong, it's even stronger than the Jacob's Well, that after smelling it, it was like I couldn't smell anything because the Jacob's Well felt so much lighter. Oh. You meant your left. Yes. Okay. Daniel, I'm like, oh my God, I'm confused. No, I'm right. We got this. We got this. Tons of funky, leathery oak. A little bit of peanut, but not a lot on the Jacob's Well, which is the note that I am glad is reduced in here. Heavy, heavy cinnamon. I mean, Knob Creek normally has some good spice notes to it, some cinnamons. Typically a little bit of a brighter cinnamon when you start getting up there in proof, like the 120 proof single barrels. It's like a brighter cinnamon. This is really, really dark and rich cinnamon, which I like. And it's just chocolate. Just pure chocolate, dark cinnamon. Yeah, it like cherries that are on fire, like Luxardo cherries that are on fire. It almost has an oil. It almost has an oil note to it. It's kind of weird, but I actually like it. Very, very good. Very good. Oh my God, that's so good. It just tastes like coffee right now. Oh my goodness. See, that kind of reaction, that might mean I would want that over the Pappy and the William Larue. I didn't do the comparison, but like drinking that whiskey was a joyous experience right now. I didn't have to think too hard about it. I didn't have to like, it's not a perfect whiskey, but I wasn't the first thought in my mind wasn't like, oh man, the imperfections. It was like, wow, that's really, really good. Just saying. Aiden, I'm just picturing you right now. I'm just picturing you like sprawled out, like half naked in pajamas on the couch, and you just have cheese and broccoli and just chicken, you know, a chicken breast just sliding down your face, a cheesy chicken breast. Here we go. Jacob's Well surprised me. Didn't expect to like it. This is very, very good. I mean, one of the, like, if I would have tasted this, like if I did a top 10 video for 2022 and I had tasted this, that would be in my top 10. That would be very high in my top 10. Yo, 21090. I have no idea what you just clicked into, honestly. A love fest right now for Jacob's Well. God, it's good. All right, real quick, though, I want to check out Knob Creek 12. I said it overwhelmed it earlier on the nose. Whew. Wow, going back to the Jacob's Well after smelling the Knob Creek 12, there's a spritzy element to it. Yeah. There's like an Alka-Seltzer note going on. Weird. Side by sides will expose some crazy, crazy shit in whiskeys. Knob Creek 12 is so much peanut. That's the real big difference between these two. There's a lot of similarities on the profiles. There's a lot more spice on the Jacob's Well. A lot of additional cinnamon as compared to the Knob Creek. And actually, something that Daniel said earlier that I did not throw up on the screen, I think might be relevant to this. The 16-year is the Knob Creek mash bill, but the 15-year 4-month is the Old Grandad mash bill, which I want to say is 27% rye. Is it 63-27-10, Old Grandad? Somebody please check that out, or I guess I could look it up. Old Grandad mash bill. I think it's 63-27-10. Yes. So that 27% rye in the mash bill is basically twice as much rye. That comes through, and that, I believe, is what's contributing that kind of aromatic cinnamon note. And if you think about Old Grandad 114, that has that aromatic cinnamon note. It's just way younger, but it's there. Honestly, if they could release, like, with that Old Grandad mash bill, if they could release just like a 12-year with that, and if they could leave it at 114, if they did like an OGD 114 10-year special release, 12-year special release, that would be a killer whiskey. Because it would not, I think you would round out some of the peanut notes, give it a little more spice and edge. It would be very good. All right, let's taste the Knob Creek 12 now. It's just funky peanut and leather. Aiden, me coated in chicken. Again, one of the most underrated bottles on the market right here. You got to be ready for the funk. You got to want the funk. And, you know, I need to find a blend of something else that's pretty available and affordable. I need to find a blend of something else to go with this Knob Creek 12 that will round out some of the funkiness and the peanut and maybe add a bit of proof along the way. If I could find that, that would be perfect. But seriously, just insanely underrated whiskey. And the cask strength 12 is getting its due. Secondary on that jumped like $100. I feel like in the last couple of weeks, it went up so high. People are selling the cask strength 12 year for like $250 now. God, I passed on it on the shelf because I was like, oh, I have some 15-year store picks. Oh my Lord, if I could go back in time. Because the 12 cask strength, I think, is better than most 15-year store picks. Just good barrels, good blend, and it's got enough youth still in it at 12 years old, not up to 15, that it's exciting whiskey. It's really exciting. Oh, Derek, a more fruit-forward. So what are you saying, Derek? Yeah, a more fruit-forward ECBP. That would be nice. That's kind of the same correction I would be trying to make on the Knob Creek 12 at a lower proof, I guess. But adding proof as well as varied flavors. Amy, that's actually a good idea. I think I have my antique up here. It's like almost empty. There we go. Oh my God, bubble bath. 20-year-old tub. Because they did 20-year mellow corn. I think that's what you're saying, right? Yeah, the 20-year mellow corn coming out. Oh, I bet it's gonna be good. Look, there's still some rye in that mash bill. If you actually look at the mellow corn mash bill or the what is that? The Heritage Collection 20-year corn whiskey mash bill. It's like 80 corn. There's still some rye and some barley going on in there, enough to probably make it just taste like a really extra sweet 20-year-old whiskey. I mean, that's gonna be good. Let me see real quick my bar cart over here, just out of the frame. Let me see if I can grab an antique or maybe a Weller foolproof to blend into this. Okay. Gotta crawl on the floor. Okay. What's the point of a bar cart when you can't even access it, you know? What happened is that Sarah bought me this barrel to go in here, and it's awesome. But it took the place of the bar cart being flat against the wall where I could access everything. Now it's turned. So I either have to pull it out, which I can do, but there's a light in the way right now. There's a light you can't see shining onto this barrel. Kind of makes it pop a little bit better. So I can't even, I got to crawl under my desk to get to the inside of the bar cart. So I pulled out my antique, which is like really close to empty, which maybe might mean that it's better. Just a little nip off of that. It's fine. It's still so young. God. And my Weller foolproof. The foolproof's coming around a little bit. Still not a good pick. I've had this like for two and a half years. Just not that good, unfortunately. So let's use that. Let's use that because it's higher proof. It's a little bit better than the antique. And let's just kind of throw some of this foolproof into the Knob Creek 12. I know I'm supposed to be talking about the Jacob's Well. I'll come back to it, I promise. Let's see if I can get this slightly improved. Okay. So I probably just poured in like 60% of what was already in the glass. Probably added in now. Let's just round down. Let's say... Oh, math, dude. I don't know. I'm not gonna do fractions right now. Believe it or not, I took calculus in high school. It's just been so long since I've used any... You know, it's like a story problem. You guys ever remember story problems? You always hated story problems. Like, just give me the equation, I'll do it. It's like, no. John ran this far. Sally drove a car this direction. How far, you know. Flashbacks. I'm having flashbacks. Amy, this how Blendageddon. Oh, I have not entered Blendageddon. I'm not gonna enter Blendageddon, but I will blend on my own. I actually have some blending ideas for some things to do. That's a different discussion. Ooh, did I just get really... Did my connection just totally suffer? Oh, my computer's about to die. Uh-oh. Hang on one sec. Okay. You guys still there? Let's see. I turned off the music just now. My computer, when I started streaming, it's always uh-oh. When I stream, my computer's always plugged in, but I actually started the stream here with like 50% battery, and even though it's plugged in, my computer drains itself because it's 2 cameras plugged in, trying to, use like a lot of streaming stuff going on at once. And it didn't say it was charging. It said that it couldn't keep up. So I just plugged in I have 2 power adapters plugged in. This one's a little bit stronger. So let's see, hopefully if it's good, then I will turn the music back on in a second, but let me just lighten the load. I unplugged my extra camera from my computer as well. So now all we have plugged in is my extra monitor and 1 camera. Good Lord. Well, if the channel made if I could make a little more money on the channel, I'd buy a new computer because I desperately need one. My thing is not hanging in there. So please give me a thumbs up or something in the chat. Looks like on my end there's still 83 in here, but I don't know. I don't know. Oh no. I think I'm in dead. I think I'm on dead air here. Oh. Cool. No, I think we're good. 82 watching still. Okay. Cool. I can't. I literally, there's like no. I wish there was someone on the other end that could say, dude, you're good. Cool. Thanks, guys. Let me check the laptop, how it's doing. Good. It is now charging. It is not just being drained while being plugged in. It is now actually charging. So let's turn some music back on. Gosh. No, guys, you don't have to donate for a new computer. I'm just messing around. I'm just saying, I was looking at new MacBooks because I got the email from Apple. And, if I'm going to get a new computer or an iPad or anything, it's not worth skimping on for, needing video editing software, music production stuff for me. Lots of storage capacity. I just max everything out. And that is crazy expensive. And the new MacBooks with the M2 processor in it, I'm sure it's so fast, but like the one that I would want to get is like 6K, I just can't do that. Yeah, wouldn't be Whiskey Tube without technical difficulties. Yeah, exactly. So now back to this Knob Creek 12 and Weller Foolproof blend. The Weller Foolproof rounded this thing out. Oh my gosh, and there's a super strong grape note. Dark cherry or grape? Yeah. It's got this ethanol to it now that it didn't have before. And I know, because this Weller Foolproof pick is not very good, that it's going to provide some of that ethanol. I didn't think it would provide that much in the blend, but it did. Oh gosh, guys, you don't need to super chat. Thank you, Lido. I know I need to get back to doing some giveaways and stuff on here. But like I've been saying, Patreon free this month, just trying to get things out there and be more present again. And it's a great time to do it too, with the Bourbon Night and Bourbon Junkies streams coming up. And Amy, thank you. Much love to you. Much love to you as well. Amy, Lido, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Dang, Aiden, so they got all their stuff stolen. I hate seeing stuff like that. I hate seeing that happen to bands. Trailer gets broken into, drain everything. That's a worse nightmare, Thankfully for me, when we go on tour and it's like the percussion quartet with my really good friends, I'm not in the group anymore, but love those guys to death. They're based out of California, and so I would always be in Stockton, San Jose, kind of area. We would take a minivan and a trailer hitch to it, full of marimbas and vibraphones and just tons of percussion equipment. The thing about that, though, is if somebody wanted to like break in and steal it, it's like, oh, my cat might be freaking out. But it's like, hey, have at it. Try to steal this stuff. You know, a couple days ago, I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday, I had my back window smashed in my car. I parked on the street out in front of my house instead of in my driveway. Someone smashed my back window in, and I had like a $2,000, $3,000 Glockenspiel in my trunk, and they didn't touch it. It's like, what are you doing? That is worth a lot of money, and you could just take it. And I don't know why the hell I have that in my trunk. I shouldn't have it in there. But it kind of cracked me up. I'm like, you didn't take the most valuable thing. You smashed my back window in. It's a Hyundai, and a lot of people are getting their Hyundais stolen right now. There's like a hack that you can do to basically start the car and drive off with it for certain models. And they broke into mine probably thinking they could steal the car, and they weren't able to. So it's nice, but $100 down the drain to get that window fixed, right? Oh, holy shit, Aiden. They broke into the recording area and stole everything, then lit the place on fire to cover it up. I'm not laughing at them. That is just... I mean, that's pretty detailed, right? For whoever did it. Jeez. Wow. No, it was... You know what it was? It was Saturday when this happened. I was going to judge a competition. What was it? It was high school, like percussion solo and ensemble at this school, you know, local here in Columbus. And I went over to do that in the morning. It's like, I think starting at 9 a.m. So I was leaving my house at like 8:20. It's like a 20-minute drive. I get out to my car and my window's smashed in. It's just like, all right, I guess we're doing this today. And Sarah had to go somewhere that morning as well. So I didn't clean any of the glass up. I just got in my car, got on the highway, and I was freezing my butt off. I got out of my car. I had 20 minutes on the highway. It was pretty cold that day, and with the wind, it was very cold. I was like dizzy when I got out of the car to go in and judge. I had to like sit down and warm up for a second. There is some hope for this Weller and Knob Creek blend. There is some serious potential, let's call it, not hope. There's some potential here. This is not exactly it. It's not dialed in. But there's some real potential there. Yes. Why not throw a little antique in the mix just to top it off? And then I'll get back to the Jacob's Well and then probably just wrap this thing up. Good memory, man. Yeah, Daniel, same Hyundai that got rear-ended a while back. Oh, yeah, that same one. I have mauled this car unintentionally. You know, the rear-ending thing, that just an old lady decided to stop on the highway. So you can't really avoid that. You have to stop, too. And then the work van behind you doesn't have to stop, I guess. He was texting. But because his company was going to cover it, I wasn't even going to be like, yo, you were texting. I saw it, you know, because I saw when I was like stopped, I like looked in my rear view and I saw this dude's head down on his phone. I'm like, shit. You know, put your head back against the headrest and just brace for impact. But his company was going to pay for it anyway, so there's no reason to, you know. Yeah, guys, check out this link that Aiden sent here into the chat for Thornhill. Yeah, now a new window. Almost totaled it on the body damage. So close. I just wish we would have just totaled the dang thing. I've done some other stuff to this car, too. Oh, I got a flat tire like a month or two ago. That was like uneventful, but it happened and it sucked. Sarah and I were on our way to a dinner. It's on our way to dinner. Flat tire. Oh. Yeah, that car's been through a lot. Yeah, Amy, anything else? Like, come steal like $1,000 worth of like triangles or mallets or bongos or cowbells or something. Just leave my freaking car alone, please. I just got to get places. All right, so I threw a little antique in here because why not? That's really good. Play around with this if you're out there, you have these bottles available. I know I used foolproof in the beginning of this, but antique would probably be pretty good too. Play around with like a Knob Creek 12 or 15 maybe, and something like this, like a Weller foolproof or a Weller antique. If you have these bottles, very interesting results. Is this Adam? This is a dig, right? This is a dig, bro. Come on, I know how to change a tire. No, actually, Ryan Jones. Hang on, I'll get to that. I don't think I had a donut I don't think I had a spare in my trunk. I have to remember. No, I didn't. I didn't have a donut. I couldn't change it, so I had to basically just go. Or did I have a donut? I don't think I did. Because there was a reason it was super inconvenient. Yeah, so Ryan, my wife, Sarah, put googly eyes on my bottles like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And some of them, you can tell how old the bottles are because if they still have googly eyes, that means I've had that bottle since, I would say probably 2 years ago she did it. Well, Ronnie, call me a poser. I like the Pappy. At the end of the tasting, I like the Pappy. The beginning, it had some issues. But I just don't think it was a great showing for William Larue, and I have nothing to compare it to for Pappy. But probably not a good showing for Pappy either. My headphone died. I'm swapping them out, trying to charge them each at a time. Okay. There we go. Did the music stop? No? There we go. There's the music. Cool. All right, back to the Jacob's Well. Finally. Aiden, sorry, not trying to take it. Dude, I'm just sitting here complaining. You don't feel like you're taking anything away from me. The Hardin's, I keep calling it Hardin's Creek. Why would you name something Hardin's Creek Jacob's Well? Why would you name something with an apostrophe on each of the first words of the names? Why? Man, Dustin, you asked me a lot of questions like this, and I'm going to razz you just a little bit because, bro, I do not have these bottles. I do not have a Heaven Hill 17 to compare it to. Now, if you want to know just off of my memory, it's the classic comparison Buffalo Trace to Heaven Hill profile, but it's just like the most extreme version of that comparison with super sweet oak on both of them, good age, all that. I would still take Heaven Hill 17 if my memory is correct, I would take Heaven Hill 17 over Pappy 15 pretty easily. He says, I met the band last May, talked to the drummer, got us some sticks, whole band signed on. One of my favorite musical experiences. They were so thankful. That's cool, man. I don't know this band, so I don't know like if they're a huge band or not. Even if they're not huge, if you love them, then they're huge to you, and that's all that matters, Speaking of that, band recommendation, guys, for those of you in here, The Reign of Kindo, R-E-I-G-N, Reign of Kindo. Great stuff. Go listen to the album This Is What Happens. So good. Yeah, the name makes no sense to me. Heaven Hill 17 for sure, I agree. So yeah, the Jacob's Well. I'm gonna make sure I say that right. Excellent whiskey. It's like still a little edgy. Like Knob Creek products or Jim Beam products are just a little edgy to me. You know, the spice with just a little ethanol on all of them. No matter what they are, they all have kind of an ethanol tinge. This has less of that, but it's still there. But I think if you smelled this Jacob's Well in a blind, this would be easier to mistake for Heaven Hill than maybe any other product in the Knob Creek portfolio. The other one's more peanut, pretty clear, leather funk, that Knob Creek signature thing, Jim Beam signature thing, whatever you want to call it. This one would be, I think, more confusing because it's so balanced and rounded. And so good. Again, Daniel, thank you. Man, what a great lineup of whiskeys tonight. And Aiden, I agree, Knob Creek 12 is really good. That's a lot of swing style groove the sound. Aiden, you've sent me some songs in the past, and I can't remember if Thornhill was one of the bands that you had sent my way. Dustin, here you go again, bro, with the comparison. Always with the comparisons. I love it. I love it. Because you make me have to think about these things. Also, HCJW is the dumbest acronym. If that's, I don't know if people use that on secondary or not. If they do, I hate it. And if you just made that up, Dustin, I completely understand why you made it up. But I also hate it. HCJW. EBA, what's up? No, comparisons are great. I'm just giving Dustin crap because he asked me comparisons of bottles that I don't have. Now, I do have Russell's 13, but I can't drink any more of the Jacob's Well because I need it for a review video. So I just drank the last bit of the sample. Daniel, dude, I think it is. I really think it is. Like, the Pappy is awesome, especially after comparing it to the William Larue tonight. I think a couple nights ago, I probably said something different about that. I think I like the Larue better. But tonight, with a clearer palate, it just seems like it's got that young oak note to it, and not enough to make up for that. Dustin. So, Dustin, to my memory. Also, dude, I hope you know I'm just joking with you. I don't want you to take... I am not frustrated at all. I think it's hilarious. HCJW. Just say that 3 times fast. HCJW. It's hard. Yeah, Jeb had sent me a link to purchase a bottle online of the Jacob's Well, and it was like $175, maybe $200 from a reputable, like, not secondary, from an actual store. And I think when he sent it to me, I was like, oh, I need to wait till Friday when I get paid. In my mind, I was thinking that. And then I just never did it. Like, God, I wish I could go back in time and get one. So I think to memory, why not? I'll grab batch 2, the JL laser code of the Russell's 13. I like Russell's 13 better, I think. That would be a close call. At that point, it's really just down to from the Jacob's Well to the Russell's 13. Proof-wise, you're talking a 7 proof point difference, so negligible. And flavor profile-wise, that's really where it's just going to be a completely subjective thing. Would you rather have the turkey profile, which to me is a little rounder, a little more integrated, smooth, not a word we like to use, but I think appropriate in that sense. Whereas the Jacob's Well has a little bit more like pizzazz to it, even though it's a lower proof, which I think a lot of Knob Creek / Jim Beam products have kind of that. Dude, it's long gone now, Dustin. Trust me, I've gone back and looked, but Dude, look, frankly, I don't want it. I don't want to buy it to trade. I want to buy it to drink the darn things, you know? Daniel, thank you, man. I appreciate you so much. And next time I send samples your way, if I don't remember, just remind me that I'm saying I have to send you this Dusty Weller. It's low proof, but the flavor is so good. Derek, this is the first I've heard of this. So, and I'm going to take your word for it. And next time I see a 12-year 101 export, they're sitting around 175 to 200. I'm going to buy one. If you're saying this, it says a lot of people are saying it. I haven't heard this, but I'm also not so plugged in on that bottle. I've avoided a lot of the discussion, and I haven't really watched the reviews because I was like, I don't need to get that. I have Russell's 13. But if it, you know, I could see why it might be better. Russell's 13 is just a heavy, heavy oaky whiskey. Oh, Young Pei Chang, YPC in the house. What is up? I was thinking about you earlier because tonight tasting Freudian slip. Tonight tasting William Larue Weller 2022. I thought about the Thomas H. Handy 2022 you sent. Hope you're doing well. All right, any last minute thoughts, guys? I've kind of gone through way more whiskey tonight than I thought. Although I have not really drank a lot of whiskey tonight, and so I feel pretty fresh, which is good. I need to go do more laundry, do some dishes right now, just housework stuff while Sarah's away, trying to get everything, you know, back in working order because it's been a busy week. Any last minute comparisons, pours? I would do up to 2 more pours. Whether that's a comparison or a one, or maybe just one extra pour now. If there's anything you guys like would want to get some notes on or thoughts on. Kind of weird to even say that for me. It's like, I know I'm doing this live stream thing. I know I make content on YouTube, but even just saying, do you guys want to see me drink any whiskey? That sounds so silly when I say that out loud. I guess that's what I'm doing here, but I don't know. Toshi got 3 at 360 euro. Yeah, the euro, I mean, we're basically 1-to-1 right now, right? It's like 1 to 1.05 conversion. I'm trying to think when I was over in Europe over the summer. It's pretty close. I mean, the pound, though, God. At least it's not 360 pounds. Is this a trick question, YPC? Is this a... Oh, you mean 2022s? If you mean 2022s, no. If you meant 2021s, I thought you were just razzing me. I have tried 2020s. I think I've tried it twice. The only George T. Stagg I've ever tasted... Is this a true statement? No. I may have tasted 2019 once, when I first got into bourbon. That's not that long ago. And then 2020 I've tasted twice. Oh, wow. Dude, I've not tasted it. I mean, shoot. I'm not going to say no, but you and Daniel and Amy and everybody else, you guys have been so generous with samples. I will be eternally grateful whatever you send, or if you send nothing. But I'm not going to say that I would not be excited to try that, and I wouldn't want to be able to, you know, put out a good review of it, etc., etc. That's all I will say. Okay, Ashton likes the Russells over the 12101. Oh, see, Joe, I did have that, and I don't even, in my mind, I don't even consider that a George T. Stagg because it didn't taste anything like George T. Stagg. Like when I'm thinking, oh, have I tried any, what vintages have I tried of George T. Stagg? I would think of that. But if you just say like, have you ever had any George T. Stagg? I'd be like, yeah, I've had like 2020 and maybe 2019. Because 09, it's like, that just tastes like it's the best whiskey I've ever had. So, and it doesn't taste like Buffalo Trace. Oh, dude. Thank you, man. I don't know how I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I don't know what to say when you guys want to send stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm a lame-o. I get emotional quick, especially when I'm having like a bad day or a bad week or just busy. I get emotional quick. So just people's generosity like really makes me thankful and emotional. So I thank you. I don't want to take a turn for the cheesy side. Okay, Amy, here we go. Add about 1 milliliter. Okay, so my blend now is probably half Weller, half Knob Creek 12, with most of that Weller being foolproof, some being 107. And I can redo the blend here in a second if I need to. So I have a Jack single barrel proof actually right here. I could add Coy Hill. But I think you're right. Should probably stick to more available bottles than not. Man, this is an old one. This was bottled in August of 2020. So 2.5 years ago, I got this bottle. It really shouldn't last me this long. I know, I'm sorry. I was never a big fan of this when I first got into whiskey. I didn't like banana notes in anything, and now I've changed my mind on that. But in the beginning phases, I just did not like it. All right, Amy, I threw just a little dash in here. I may add one more dash, but let's just see. It extended the palate for sure. Added a little more roundness, I think. Splitting hairs though at that point. Okay. I literally just added 3 drops. Okay, I can maybe added too much because I can smell it now. And we're down to like pretty low amounts in the glass, so that would have more of an impact now. That's a good blend. Amy, I'm gonna have to mess with this. It literally just tastes like I'm drinking chocolate. I mean, it's like pure chocolate. Matt Porter, freaking late. Bro, what are you doing? I'm just kidding, Matt. All right. Any final pours, guys? Final pours or comparisons before I bounce. I didn't think I was going to do a 2-hour stream, but here we are. It flew by because I think the less I drink on these streams, like when I get off a stream and I'm feeling like pretty tipsy or whatever, or drunk, I don't like that because, like, number one, I don't really like being drunk. The older I've gotten, like, for sure in college, I partied a lot, and even in grad school, like, party, you know? I went to, like, this teeny little conservatory, basically, but still would do that, and, like, Sarah is never, ever drunk, and I don't really like being drunk, to be honest. Most of that is like the next day, the next couple days, the way I feel. Part of it is just, I don't care for it so much anymore. But when I'm clear-headed at the end of these streams, it just felt like the time flew by because I just haven't had that much, which is great. Damn, my dad is giving me the ahem when I said I partied in college. No! Let's put that up. Marshall, I only have one Booker's with me right now. I don't have any of the 2022s. I got rid of the one that I did have, or maybe the two I had. I traded the open bottles. The only one I have in here is like the 2021-03, the Bardstown batch, I believe, is which one that is. Robert, I'll try it. It'll be a very small sip. I will try Coy Hill if you want. Yeah, Amy, I got to go check on the kitty here in a second anyways. Hope she's okay. God, I was like crying earlier. She was like, I thought Sarah and I have not had a pet. Well, the only pet we've had together is Lucy. And even when I was growing up, we had cats, but I don't think I ever really saw like an animal die, you know? Or really experience an animal deteriorate. So I don't know what that process is like. I know when a cat dies, it typically will go off and hide. But Lucy is not very friendly to me anyways. So she'll let me pet her sometimes. I think like twice in my life she's come and sat on my chest, which was like an event. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So earlier, I've seen her have like, you know, some dingleberries and get frustrated by it and, you know, stuff like that. I have never seen her act like the way she was acting earlier. And she actually wanted me to be close to her, which was, I got spooked and I was like, oh my God, is she just going to like suddenly die on me right now? You know, because I don't know what that looks like. So I was crying and like called Sarah, and she's in Florida. I called my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Oh, God. Here we go. Speaking of Matt Porter a second ago, Matt Porter is the only reason I own a bottle of this Jack Daniels. And I love it. I love it. I can't remember what I sent him for this. I think I maybe sent him a Lucky 7 14-year Barrel 72, which now is going for a... Barrel 72, finally people understood the hype. And it like kind of took off on the secondary market there for a second because it's so good. I think I sent Matt a Barrel 72 for that. Sonny, Lucy is 8. So she should have like a good amount of time left unless something happens, you know? And obviously, like I said, she doesn't really like me. We got Lucy when I was in undergrad. Sarah and I started dating in undergrad. Sarah's 2 years older than me in school years. So I was a freshman. She was a junior. And we dated for like a year and a half, and we broke up for like a year. So by the time we got back together and started dating again, she had graduated from school and had a job teaching at a middle school. And I was like a junior at the time. Yeah, I think I was a junior at the time. So then we like didn't live together, but we like kind of half lived together. Basically, she had an apartment and I would stay there quite a bit because it was really close to the university that I was going to. And we ended up getting Lucy at that time. And Sarah was at work. I had a college schedule. It was really busy, but I had more time, obviously, to go over there during the day and take care of Lucy when she was just a little kitty. So in the first, 6, 8, 10 weeks of Lucy's life with us, I was the one that was really there. And then Sarah and I broke up again, right? And we didn't get back together until I was in grad school. And I was like, it was a distance relationship, which was terrible. And then when finally I moved home, we moved in together. You know, the rest is history. Engaged, married. When we moved back in together, Lucy probably like remembered me kind of, but she didn't like me. She only likes Sarah. She only likes one person. And it kind of sucks for me because she dictates the terms of our relationship. If I try to dictate them, I bleed on my hands. Yeah, she's definitely missing Sarah right now. But I don't think before Sarah left, Lucy was kind of having some issues, which I said earlier in the stream. She made a big mess from her behind all over our white rug in our living room. So that was before Sarah left. I think it's been something that's kind of been progressing right now, which is what kind of worried me as well. All right, last sip. I said I would do 2 last sips if anybody wanted a comparison. I am rescinding that because the last sip is 140 proof. So this counts as 2. Jeb, what's up, man? Yeah, we're about to call it a night. But we were just talking some smack about you, actually. Just kidding. Yeah, there you go. You'll find at some point I said that Aiden was covered in things half naked. You'll get there. Okay, who asked for the Coy Hill? Robert E says try a sip of the Coy Hill. All right. So this one is a hazmat, 140.6 proof. You know, I've only had this Coy Hill, I think. So when I look at the front, and there are 2 different barrel houses, Barrel House 8 and 13, that they could come from, and they're all single barrels. This one is from Barrel House 8. I don't know if any of them have remarkable or consistent differences between the 2 that could be easily picked up on without tasting tens of samples. I just know Barrel House 8. And what I always say about this Coy Hill is that it smells like a fudge brownie that's on fire, covered in like berry compote. But it actually smells a little different right now. So I'm not gonna just go to my memorized tasting note for this. Marshall, when is the next sip along? That's a tough one. So sip-alongs in February are tough. Live streams are good. I think every Thursday night I'm good in February for live streams. Sip-alongs are tough. Next Tuesday, the 7th, I am teaching. The 14th, Valentine's Day, I actually got on the ball early this year and got Valentine's Day reservations at Christmas for a super nice restaurant here in Columbus. So no taste-along on the 14th. The 21st would have been a taste along and still might be, but that's the tentative date to go on with the Bourbon Junkies. And then the 28th, I'm also teaching on the 28th that night. So there really might not be another Tuesday taste along in the month of February, so I might move it over to Sunday and just continue calling it a taste along. Like I ended up with a really good graphic. If you guys go look at the thumbnails, for the last Tuesday taste along, it was the Blade and Bow. I felt really good about the way the thumbnail came out. And I might keep that format now for the Tuesday taste alongs and just carry that through a few before I make any more tweaks to it. So it's just called taste along and Tuesdays in really small text. I might just change that to Sunday and nobody really needs to know the difference. Truthfully, they don't even need to know the day of the week. It can just pop up. But I liked that time slot on Tuesday nights. The problem is the Junkies moved their live stream back an hour to 8 p.m. and I was going on at 8:30 to lead into their live stream. So now I'm not exactly sure. I think 7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday is too early. Maybe. I mean, build it and they will come is one mindset. But also, realistically for WhiskeyTube, the lead in to the Junkie stream felt like a really streamlined thing and it worked out. Joe. No, we're going to Ocean Club. We're going to Mitchell's Ocean Club. That's funny. We love Thurmans. She would be okay with Thurmans. That's why I love her. She would be okay with Thurmans. All right, so Coy Hill on the nose. I'm getting berries, man. Usually I get a lot of chocolate and then some fruit in the background, which I generally think to be kind of berry-like. This is just all berries right now. A little banana. That's all I can get. All I can get is like a little chocolate, all berries, a little banana, tons of ethanol. Interesting. Maybe my palate's broken. I don't know. Sometimes I forget how good Coy Hill is. What another underrated bottle in my opinion. Even at the secondary value that it's at, which is like $375, $400, I think it's underrated as compared to the other things in that price category. Wow. And I think on this Coy Hill, what's confusing me about it is that usually I don't get this much oak on it. I think with any Brown-Forman product, the oak takes a long time to show through because of the heat-cycled warehouses. I think it accents a lot of flavors in the whiskey. It makes the whiskey darker. It definitely makes it more concentrated, even though sometimes concentration does not equal finesse, sophistication, or balance. But I think it also doesn't always equal oak. I think when I start to really get an oaky profile from, let's go to another Brown-Forman company, Old Forester. Not 1920, no. 1920 is fresh, it's vibrant, it's intense. 1910 is oaky, but that's because it's in a toasted oak, a secondary oak barrel. You can't count that. The first time I really get into a discernible sweet oak profile, where the oak is so present that it becomes like an integral part of the experience, is President's Choice. And those are rare, and those are expensive and hard to find. That's when I start to get into Old Forester oak. And then you go up from there. Birthday bourbon. I've only had one birthday bourbon. I can't speak to it. Certainly King of Kentucky, which is not necessarily Old Forester, it's Brown-Forman. Lots of sweet oak there. Jack Daniel's, same thing. It's like, because the whiskey's young, it's concentrated, you don't get a distinct oak. This Coy Hill, with this amount of air, which it probably needed at 140 proof, it's exposing oak now. Yeah. And I always knew it had some oak, but it was never the primary part. And I think that's what's happening. I think we've shifted from chocolate to now oak being primary with this much air. Weird. Dustin, bro, I'm going to block you. You're not in the Patreon. You're not in the Patreon, but I had to address this again the other night in the Patreon on a live stream. Not from any of the patrons that said it, but from somebody on another stream that said something. It's just like, I need to stop now because I'm going to start swearing incessantly. Yeah, no, part of the... I'm always changing my thumbnails. The only one that I haven't really changed is my live stream thumbnail. Like, I found that little square thing in the top left that says live, whiskey tasting, and discussion. I put that randomly on a live stream a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I was like, I actually like that format. And I just kind of kept it. Everything else I'm always changing. But it could just be pretty photography, you know. Now I'm doing these bright colors on Tuesday taste-alongs. I kind of like that for those. And making things a little more YouTuber-y, the yellow letters popping against the black background. I'm gonna... Man, if I ever meet you, Dustin. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna fight. I'm 5'7". You would beat me up. Don't say that, YPC. Come on. Come on! You guys. Oh, Lord. Robert, send me an email. Robert, have you had... If you haven't had Coy Hill, Robert, send me an email, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. I'll send you a sample. Just remember to send me an email, because I won't remember if you don't do that. drumsanddrams@gmail.com. Also, Dustin, let's get it right, dude. It's not going to be What's on the Shelf Wednesday. It's going to be This is on the Shelf Thursday. I got a copy, but not too much, you know. Have Jeepwell whiskey. Ooh. That Coy Hill's good. Amy, if you wouldn't mind reminding me about this in email, I will get you some as well. Just remind me. And send Amy, I always ask you for this because at one point in some email, I think you sent me 2 different addresses, or and one of them maybe you messed up a zip code if I'm remembering correctly, or you said, oh, you could use either of these zip codes, something like that. Just resend your address too, just so it makes it a little easier. Because I am not a person that has, in my email, I don't organize my emails into like, I don't know what you call them, categories, different mailboxes. Like my email is just a running mess. So when I search through it, my phone, I don't know if it's just my phone or what, it turns up results in like wacky orders and misses certain things along the way. If I try to find your address, I would find it, Amy, but I might find something incorrect or I don't know. Yeah, man, let's touch base. I'll shoot you a message, or can you shoot me one? Again, I'm bad at keeping track of what happens on live streams because I get off of here and the first thing I do after live streams is I just clear my head and I go do something else, you know? I need that, especially when I've been drinking. It's like, let me go think about something that's not alcohol. You are a good man. I agree with Aiden. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. What can I finish with? Let's finish with the home blend, which is some amount of Knob Creek 12, Weller Full Proof, Weller 107, and a dash of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. That's it. We ended this stream 2 hours and 8 minutes in, still with 69 people in here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Hit the like button on your way out, if you would not mind. I'm going to try to get that Michter's 20 video out tomorrow, I promise, but like my teacher from grad school is in town playing a show, and I'm like picking him up tomorrow, and we're going to hang out, and then I have a concert tomorrow night. So I'm going to do my best, guys. I think I can confidently say, given the circumstances, that it'll be out by Saturday. I'm sorry. And this weekend, I'm going to shoot a lot more videos. I think for the Pappy, William Larue, and Thomas Handy. I think let's put those out next 3. Why not? And when Sarah gets home, we can do some more blind tasting videos. And I think I've got some better ideas. People have been giving me great suggestions for those too. Sunday, tune in. It's Bourbon Night, 8 p.m. Eastern. YPC, Robert, Amy, and Dustin, let's all connect on all of this stuff. I think I nailed it. Dustin, dude, there are too many. I know, man. I don't check my messages all the time, and I have notifications off. So when I get messages, I don't see messages come through unless I check for messages. I don't know if that's good or bad, but between Drums and Drams and my music stuff and the symphony and teaching, there's like 16 different channels, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, email, website to get a hold of me. I can't do it all. And nothing is centralized. That's a me problem, but I'm bad at replying. A lot of people in the chat can attest to that. But I always make it happen. I just, Oh, I didn't read out what Have Jeepwell Whiskey will say. I have heard of the Hero Selection, but I've never tried it. And I didn't know anything about it, so it sounds like some are from the Coy Hill Rick House. And Jacob, thank you, by the way, I saw your comments come through today on YouTube. I didn't reply to them yet. I saw your comments come through with your suggestions and things. I appreciate those insightful comments, like that really feedback, critique. I need that stuff. Yeah, Derek, we need to link up, and I wanted to link up with you in person. Like, that's the way I wanted to deliver these bottles to you and also have a pour. Right now, the realism of doing that is very low, at least in the next couple of weeks. And that's been the case ongoing for the last couple of weeks, months. And so I'm just like, I don't want to just ship bottles to you like less than an hour away. You know what I'm saying? Less than 30 minutes away, maybe. But, so it's on my mind. I promise you that. I wanted to make sure we could get together and like have a relaxing pour and kind of chill for a second. But things are just kind of wild. Sandeep, good night. Oh, Dustin, man. I went back. I'm rereading your message right now. You're killing me, man. All right. I'm out. Cheers. Thank you so much. Next time I see y'all will be Sunday night. It's bourbon night. And I better have that Michter's 20 video out by then. I'll see you soon.